Saddle up that horse, folks. We're headed down the trail with Buffalo Bill Cody, cooking up one of his favorite meals, a little bison tenderloin. Hey, thank y'all for stopping by the wagon, and I don't know if y'all can hear that or not, but it is livestock auction day down there, and they're selling a lot of cattle, so you might hear a little bellowing, but hey, we're going to introduce you to one of my most favorite people that I'd love to meet way back in history, and that is Buffalo Bill Cody. But we're even going to take you on a field trip to a bison ranch. But before we get started, I'd like to give a very special thank you to Chef's Temp for sponsoring this video. You know, y'all have seen me use their product before, and today I'm going to be using the Final Touch. It is probably my most favorite tool that I use in cooking as a meat probe, as a thermometer, because it's an instant reading, it's quick, and it's accurate every time. I just don't use this thing just on meat, also for baking bread, also for the perfect baked potato. And don't forget, they launched their Pro Temp Plus. Folks, it is designed for longer cooks. You can stick that probe in a roast, in a brisket, in a big old thick ribeye, program it there on your phone. It'll let you know exactly when it's done. But on that app too, you can dial in whatever you want. Medium rare, rare, well done. No, don't do well done. Go back down here to medium rare. And exclusively to our audience, they're giving you a special discount, so be sure and check them out. So let's get to know Buffalo Bill. A lot of y'all might not even know he was a food connoisseur, he was. Now, he liked open fire cooking, cooked on the range out there in the wilderness, but folks, he ate a lot of fancy food as well. He dined with dignitaries, princes, all kinds of people over in Europe. He loved fancy food, but really we're going to talk about today where he sort of got his namesake from. And he did love what? Some North American bison. So today we're going to be doing a bison tenderloin. Bill Cody was born in the Iowa Territory in 1846, and at the age of 11 his dad passed away, so Bill sort of had to step up. He had to help provide. So his first job, he was a teamster, driving them old freight wagons. I mean, you might have had 3 up, 4 up mules and going across the prairie delivering freight, but he was also a member of that very famous group that they toted the mail, the Pony Express Riders. And then later on, he became a scout for the Union Army. So with all his time on the prairie out there in the wide open range country, he experienced a lot of different kind of wild game and food that was out there. But before we go any further, I think we should take a trip down historic Route 66 and go to the Benjamin Lee Bison Ranch. Folks, we're gonna go out through there, look at them in their wild habitat, and what? Get us a bison tenderloin. Austin, thank you so much, my friend, for meeting us up here.
Hi, my name is Austin Puckett. We're a bison producer and raiser in western Oklahoma.
I've eaten a little bit of everything that crawled across the United States or flew across the United States, and I've eaten a lot of bison. You know, there's a lot of difference between a cow and a bison.
They're closely related. I mean, they can interbreed.
Yeah.
If you'll give them, grass and water.
Yeah.
And you don't overgraze where they don't get parasitic buildup, there's not a whole lot you have to do to them.
Yeah, and it's a very healthy meat too. Pretty low in cholesterol, you know.
Yeah, and it's got higher, selenium. We've got a whole list of them, on our website of all the micronutrients. There's not a giant flavor difference. I think bison has just a little more of a meat flavor to it. Some people think it has a sweeter taste to it. If it's gamey, something went wrong.
Yeah.
It should taste like clean, nice red meat.
I'm gonna make it good. I promise you, brother, and I appreciate it. Let's go check out them pens.
Let's do it. Buffalo is just a colloquial term we use in this country for bison.
Yeah.
But they're not buffalo at all. We got the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bill Cody. But technically these are bison. It's a different species. They're more close related to cattle than they are Asiatic water buffalo or the African Cape buffalo. But if you look at the ingredients, if it says buffalo, that's water or Cape buffalo. That's not bison.
You know, brother, I've cooked a lot of bison, but there's a lot of people out there that haven't. So you got some tips and tricks for us we need to know.
In general, what we tell people is hotter and faster.
Yeah.
So bison itself has more protein in the muscle, and it's got less intermuscular fat. And because of that and the protein, it finishes faster on you. It can be a quick trip from 125 to 155.
Yeah. I always tell people, they done died once. Let's don't kill them twice on the grill with a skillet,
Bison it should be a nice, clean red meat. It's not gamey. If you have not tried bison, I very, very much encourage you to do so. We sell at the farmer's market every weekend. You can find somebody else local to you to try it. If you're nervous about a steak, start with a burger. And if you don't like that, we used to offer, if you buy steak from us and it's not any good, I'll come over and finish eating it for you.
There you go. Brother, thank you so much for showing us around. I look forward to cooking this. I
Absolutely.
do. And we hope to see you down the trail somewhere. So what we have here, really, if we'd put it back together, would be the bison tenderloin as we're looking. Now, I always like to cut that tail end off of because we're going to do it a little different than we are the tenderloin, this bigger piece of it. Now, but when you look through there and you see this, we have peeled the silver skin off of it if there was any there. And if you need to trim a little fat or anything off there, be sure and do that. You don't see quite the amount of marbling that you might see in a regular beef animal on this. You don't want to cook this anywhere past medium. I would prefer you cook it to medium rare. So we'll put this in there, use our good chef's temp to make sure that we don't go overboard when we're steaming it first, and then we'll pull it out of there and we'll finish it two ways. One will get finished in a skillet, one will get finished over an open fire. So we got us a little melted butter. Now I'm pretty sure Bill and them would have just used any kind of buffalo fat, lard, anything they had. So I just want to give it a little coating here to where we can get the seasoning and everything to stick to it really well. Some of you might be asking yourself, why are you using butter when I've often seen you use like lime juice to make meat more tender? This is a tenderloin. I'm not going to have it. I want this butter to give it a little fat content is one thing I'm putting it on there for, but also to give something to put a binder on there that's not really going to change the flavor of this bison as we cook it. I'm going to season it with our original seasoning because it's got sort of a citrus base to it that's going to help bring out even more flavor. But you could use salt, pepper, garlic on this, whatever you got. We're going to finish this off with a little coarse ground black pepper just to give it a little more. So we're going to let that set and come to room temperature, probably about 30 minutes with what it would take. But let's get to know Buffalo Bill and how he got his name. Now, when Bill Cody was working for the Kansas Pacific Railway, he was out there grading out there where the tracks were, and he was hungry. So he took out his old rifle and he thought, you know, I'm gonna go shoot me some buffalo, as they called them then. And there was some Union soldiers out there that witnessed this. And he'd take aim, boom! He shot 12 times, killed 11 buffalo. Notoriety soon got to spreading around the countryside there, and he was known as Buffalo Bill Cody. Everyone was so impressed with his marksmanship that he got him a contract from the Kansas Pacific Railway to supply meat. Now, even though Buffalo Bill Cody was a great marksman and a great hunter, he was not careless about this. He didn't approve of the slaughter that come about by these animals, and he wrote an article that was in the New York Sun. Their slaughter has been criminally large and useless, and no hand raised to stop the utter extinction which threatened them. As you look back in history, and a lot of times all you see is just pictures of just buffalo stacked up, the hide cutters that come along just for that. This was not what Buffalo Bill was about. After that, he went to leading private hunting parties for well-to-do folks, and with the expansion of the railroad, his taste expanded too. It released his inner gourmet for food. Well, 12-inch deep Dutch oven. Have a little over 1.5 cups of beef broth because we don't want this to dry out as we're cooking. Now, Bill loved him some tenderloin. He may not have had no butter to put in it, but folks, I don't think he would mind if we put about 3 tablespoons in there. I think he would be good with that. So we're going to take this biggest piece of tenderloin and we're going to set it in here. Take it over to the fire, put the lid on, put some coals in there. We're going to steam this first one until it reaches a temperature of about 110 degrees. If you're doing this in the house, preheat your oven to about 325 degrees because we want a slow steaming process. And if you got a wire rack that'll fit in your square casserole pan, that'll be even better. You'll cook this in the oven probably, I would say 25 to 30 minutes, but you want to go more with that chef's temp and probe this so when you get to 110, let's drag it out of there and then we'll finish it a different way. Now, we put coals directly underneath and coals on top. And I know y'all are thinking to yourself, I have heard you say, never put coals directly underneath. Folks, you can, like in your baking baked potatoes, something like that. But also when you're steaming something like this to where you just want that sort of good, even little low boil to get everything started, put coals directly under there. But we're setting on a tall trivet today, but we'll let that cook till we get that internal temp to about 110. Now, I really love this sauce that we fixed to go on this bison tenderloin. Now, I don't think in the early days Bill would have probably had this, but as he sort of broadened his palate and really loved gourmet food, I'm sure it would have been served this way to him too. And he did love to have a little nip while he was cooking or thinking about it. So to start this off, we're just going to use a Brandy. We're just going to take probably about a tablespoonful creamy horseradish. If you're going to have horseradish, I think you got to have garlic. Get her mashed in here. About a half a cup of heavy cream. Some of that Leon Perrin's famous W sauce we're going to put in there. I need you to make this ahead of time because we need to set it back in the fridge and let all these flavors sort of blend well together. Get you a taste. Need more garlic? Need more horseradish? Need more brandy? You change it up as you want it. A recipe was always a map to me. I think that'll work right there. I'm just going to put a little coarse ground black pepper in there with it. Took the lid off that Dutch oven and used my final touch to probe that meat, and I was nearly around 100 degrees, so we need to cook just a little bit longer. Added me a little more wood underneath there so we could bring that simmer up just a little more. Won't take much longer to get it out of there. But hey, Buffalo Bill, you know, he was a great storyteller. He knew the Wild West as it existed. He had been in it, and people just really got to thinking, hey Bill, you need to get up on stage and tell these stories. Bring the Wild West to life. Well, he did. And folks, that's how it started. The Wild West show ran from 1883 to 1913 and was the most successful show of all time. Being a connoisseur of food, Bill, he didn't want to give up his lifestyle of eating, so he brought eating to all the crew. Cooking staff was 56 people to feed over 1,500 performers 3 meals a day, and even brought a food manager in from P.T. Barnum. The whole thing occupied 11 acres, and he had a range wagon similar to what we have here in a chuck wagon. It was like a cookhouse on wheels. The kitchen itself took up a half acre. They also had refrigeration units come in, and he used a ton of ice every day. Now, Annie Oakley described a breakfast that she had there. Good coffee, bread, butter, preserves, fine steaks, berries. Lunch was rice, tomato soup, brisket, roast, beef, pork, corned beef hash, bread, and more. You know, this crew wasn't starving by no means when they was working for Bill. He fed them 3 meals a day, and he fed them gourmet all the time. So Bill had a very soft heart, but he had a special place for children too. Now, when he did his Chicago show there, he had 8,000 orphans that he'd come in. So these kids even got to go back there and they got to eat in the big cookhouse because these little orphans probably wasn't getting all the food they needed, and Bill wanted to make sure they had a full belly when they left his show. Well, tenderloin was done there when we probed it, put it over the open fire there to give it a little color and sear it up good. On the second one, we cut these medallions out of that leftover tenderloin that we had. And we're just going to sear them over here in a skillet. It's got a little olive oil and butter, and we'll deglaze that pan a little with the special sauce that we made.
What are you doing?
92.5 degrees outside. I mean, I want to see this.
Fire.
Yeah, I want to see this when it says like 24. That'd be good cooking weather, it would. Roll them little medallions around on that skillet. We flip them about, I'd say, close to 3 minutes. You want to get that good color on both sides. And I sort of rolled them around, seared them edges, took it out, let that pan cool just a minute. Add you about half that sauce that we mixed up to sort of deglaze that skillet. Bring it back over, pour it over them medallions. Oh my gosh, but I go back and add just a little bit of that sauce to it. It gives it a little color.
How come you just have one?
Well, I had that oldest son of mine drop by, and he likes to eat, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one first, and just cut it right down the middle. And his comment was, it's so tender. I didn't know it was gonna be that tender, but so we're gonna go ahead and slice some steaks out of there, put them right over here. You can see there's still some good pink color right there in the center. That's what we're after. Put a little drizzle right over here. Oh my gosh, Shan. So tender. You get that sort of crust that sears over with that butter and stuff right there on top. That horseradish and that brandy right there goes so well together. Makes me want to drag out the old rifle, bring it out there, boom, and do a little Buffalo Bill hop, skip, jump. Woo. That is some fine dining. It is. Buffalo Bill Cody, great man he was. He died in 1917 in Denver, Colorado at the age of 70 years old. So he was a man that really brought a picture to life of the great American West. But I think Annie Oakley might have said it best, and I'll read a quote from her. A teepee and a palace were all the same to him, and so were their inhabitants. Buffalo Bill Cody, the great man he was. I'd like to give a quick thank you to Benjamin Lee Bison. I really enjoyed this. I did. It is good eating. But folks, if you want to be a better cook, and you have seen me use them for years, they support our channel and they are great people too, and that is Chef's Temp. You got to have that right meat probe to get everything done the way you want it to be and to get that perfect cook, and they ensure that. So be sure and check out that code down there below, because remember, for our viewers only, they're offering you a little discount. They are. But it is with great pride, honor, and privilege that I tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that have kept that old flag a-flying over camp. We commend you all. We do. Rest of you, get on in here. It's hot, and we'll give you a big old Buffalo Bill hug. God bless you, each and every one, and I'll see you down the Buffalo Bill Trail. Hey, that's enough out of the audience. No. Hey, can you quieten it down? Now, a lot of the research and the history that Shan did was from the Galloping Gourmet. If you're into this sort of thing, folks, this is a great book. It really depicts Bill's eating career, Bill's lifestyle, as it goes all through it there. Got a horned toad.
Oh, that's a big one.
You can see how they blend in with their surroundings too, because as things begin to fade out here due to the drought, they'll change color around here a little bit. That way they're a little more camouflaged. So enjoy your day, buddy.